Rachel Langley, Living Seas Coordinator at Essex Wildlife Trust.
And I'm Darren Tansley, the River Catchment Coordinator.
And we're standing at one of the seawalls at Abbots Hall Farm Nature Reserve in the beautiful Blackwater Estuary, the place where living seas meets living rivers.
We're going to talk to you today about a couple of projects that we've got going on in Essex. They're going to reconnect the coast with our rivers and bring a Wilder Essex to both people and wildlife across the county.
I'm going to be focusing on our Saltmarsh restoration project. Saltmarshes are an iconic part of our coastline and a key in fighting the climate crisis.
And I'm looking at the problems that fish have migrating from the coast here up our rivers, past barriers that are almost impassable for all sorts of creatures. So let's have a look at those projects.
Yeah, let's get on. I'll head this way and see you in a bit.
I'm going off to the river. See you later. Our rivers are wonderful places for wildlife and for people, and this is an idyllic scene on the Essex-Suffolk border. But look closer and you'll see there's actually trouble at mill. This barrier stands about 3 metres high, and the water behind it is backed up and then drops to the level of the mill pond beyond. There is absolutely no way fish can get past this barrier. Imagine having the road blocked off to your house and being told there's not going to be a diversion anymore, you just simply won't be able to go there. This is exactly what fish face on a daily basis trying to make their way up our rivers. So what can we do to help them? On International Rivers Day, we're celebrating the start of the Essex Fish Migration Roadmap, a 10-year project designed to reconnect our rivers and allow fish to move back to their spawning grounds. So the great thing about these sorts of fish passes is that they're very natural. They follow the old route of the original river. They allow fish to pass upstream through a series of very shallow embankments to get to the same level of water that would be behind that massive weir. And it's only about, less than a third of a mile upstream where this channel joins with the main river. These are fantastic ways to get fish from source to sea and back again. So today we're celebrating the fact that we can actually do something about this. In 10 years' time, who knows what our rivers will look like, but they'll certainly be a lot friendlier for the fish that call them home.
Saltmarshes are amazing habitats that do so much for us. In Essex, we have 350 miles of coastline, and saltmarshes are an iconic part of it. Saltmarshes do so much for us. They support an amazing biodiversity, including our amazing bird species, and they also act as a fish nursery area. They protect us from sea level rise and storm surges and help protect our coastal communities. They are also a nature-based solution to the climate crisis, as they sequester and store carbon. On average, saltmarshes can store 2 tonnes of carbon a year and lock it into the sediment for centuries. This makes saltmarshes a key blue carbon habitat. Saltmarshes face a number of threats, including sea level rise, pressures from developments and eutrophication. In the UK, we have lost around 85% of our saltmarshes and are losing them at a rate of 100 hectares per year. They need our protection and they need to be restored. The Saltmarsh Restoration Project started in 2018 and was initially a collaboration between Essex Wildlife Trust and the Environment Agency. The concept and the application is simple enough. It's installing coir roll structures in selected saltmarsh creeks, and we're doing this to try and restore the saltmarsh and also act as a defence for the sea walls. We secure the coir roll structures in these creeks with chestnut stakes and hessian rope, and we're hoping that this will encourage sediment to accrete and also encourage vegetation to establish. So far we've been doing some basic fixed point photography and visual observations, and the structures do seem to be doing this, which is great news. This year we're in phase 3 of the project, where we want to establish some success criteria and really quantify how successful these structures are. It's really important we collect this data, as our ultimate aspiration is to scale up this restoration technique on a landscape scale.
I'm Nicola Shearer, I'm the Catchment Coordinator for the Environment Agency, and I cover the whole of Essex. Following the installation of the Saltmarsh structures, we're going to be continuing to work with Essex Wildlife Trust and the University of Essex to monitor how well these are being established, how well the vegetation is growing on them, and whether or not the saltmarsh is regenerating. And we'll do this in a number of different ways. We'll take drone footage, LiDAR footage to see whether the ground level is increasing, whether the sediment is accreting behind the structures, and we'll also look at the vegetation types on the structure to see how well they are establishing. The Environment Agency is really proud to have been able to work with this partnership project with the Wildlife Trust, and now also to include the University of Essex, and we hope that we can do further projects like this in the future.
A key part of the data collection this year is a collaboration between the University of Essex, and today we are here on a field course where University of Essex students are helping us to collect some key data.
I'm Dr. Natalie Hicks. I'm a lecturer at the University of Essex, and today we've brought some of our undergraduate students who study marine biology and biological sciences to one of our saltmarsh locations. So they're taking part in, as part of their field course, understanding the role of the saltmarsh and looking at the restoration efforts we've been putting in place here. So the Essex coastline is particularly important in terms of its salt marshes. Many of them are being degraded over time, and we know that they play a really important role not only for coastal defence and biodiversity, but in mitigating against climate change. So today is the first day we've brought them out to have a look at collecting some of the data around the structures that we've put in place.
Partnership working between Essex Wildlife Trust, the Environment Agency, and the University of Essex is really key. And phase 3 of this project this year has been generously supported by the players of People's Postcode Lottery. Some of the key data that we're collecting is looking at the carbon content of the accreted sediment, looking at the vegetation establishment, and also undertaking some drone survey work over the summer. The drone footage will help us take a wider scale assessment of the impacts of the structures on the saltmarsh. We will bring all this data together in a project report and also put together a version 1 of a toolkit so us and other practitioners could look to expand this approach in their area.